I could read this statement, and this is, was typed up, and then I can share it a little bit, and then we can talk about some board policy. So the statement is, patrons have reached out to Board of Education members desiring to discuss Mr. Terry Thompson's paid administrative leave of absence. The Board of Education truly appreciates the engagement and dedication and well-being of our school community. Regarding the matter at hand, it is important to emphasize that personnel matters, including administrative leaves of absences, are subject to privacy and confidentiality considerations in accordance with applicable employment laws and school policies. The privacy and rights of our employees are a priority, and we must comply with legal obligations in managing such sensitive information. As of now, specific details regarding Mr. Thompson's paid administrative leave have not been shared with the Board of Education. Information of this nature is typically confined to the appropriate administrative channels to respect the individual's privacy rights and ensure compliance with legal guidelines. So I do want to emphasize that the board has not been shared the details of the administrative leave at this point. So there's no, backroom conversations going on, there's no decisions being made, that kind of thing. So in line with several inquiries, it's critical to highlight that school personnel are bound by Indiana law. We take our legal obligations seriously and are committed to upholding the law in all aspects of our operations. Therefore, we're dedicated to following established protocols and due process procedures. We appreciate your understanding of the importance of privacy and legal compliance in these matters. Thank you for your continued support of our educational community. So, in a personnel matter, once information is presented to the board, then we would have a meeting to potentially discuss any issues and make a decision on anything that might be recommended. We can do personnel matters in executive session, is that correct?
It would go in executive session, and that's where it would be heard, and then the vote, if there is a vote, would come public meeting. Okay,
so we could have an executive session before the public meeting.
Yes.
Which allows the board to discuss personnel matters in private, okay? But that executive session has to be posted.
It would be.
Correct?
Yeah.
So there's notice of that. So I just want folks to not think we're gonna be we would never do something like folks back. There's public notice required by law that if we're gonna have an executive session to talk about a personnel matter as an example, that's gotta be posted, 3 days ahead of time?
48 hours ahead.
48 hours ahead. And then there'll be if we were to take action, if we take action on the employment status of a individual personnel, hiring, firing, or even suspension,
right.
Those kind of things, any of those issues, that's gotta be done in a public meeting with a public vote. So.
You guys are unaware of the details of the situation right now, is that right?
That is correct.
And so was there a public vote on his suspension?
Yes, that was a couple meetings ago.
It was a ratification of the suspension. He's on paid administrative leave.
Sure.
He's not been suspended, he's paid administrative leave.
Okay, so that's where kind of, like what he was saying, a suspension would be something they would decide.
Yeah,
But since he's on paid administrative leave, that's a
If
whole
you
different
suspend
ballgame.
without pay,
Right,
that would be an action.
okay.
So on that note, how can we support him what can we do who do we talk to be a reference for him?
And not even about finding out the details of the situation or
Sure.
asking just in general, how can, we feel like we wanna come to the board or the superintendent, give us some guidance, how can we get our voice heard that we support this man? Like what's the steps without going into any details of the
Right
situation?
now, you're in the investigation stage, so I don't even know all the details. The school has a duty to report, that was done. From there, they take it and run with it. And they go whatever direction. So if, to give you an example outside of this realm, but if there's a issue that's brought forth, our duty is to report either to law enforcement or Department of Child Services. When you pick up the phone, you call Department of Child Services, they answer, they take the information, they decide what they're gonna do with it, what route they go. So once that's done, it's pretty much out of our hands. So with any employee that we've had, that procedure's been followed.
So maybe could we start at like the CPS level, like we reach out to CPS and then maybe they could
They're
give us
not gonna tell you
direction?
anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're gonna be very confident.
They're not gonna provide you any information at all.
So the board expects to get a report at some time, and quite honestly, I've been a little frustrated it's taking so long, so I did ask Dr. Hannah earlier this week to reach out to some folks. He's done that, and we're still waiting on the answers. Because until we get something, we have no action to take,
Yeah.
other than, you know, the paid administrative
The
leave.
board really needs to be blind as they go in.
Sure.
Because it's fair to both parties. So the information they have right now, which is nil, everything would be presented at the executive session. They wouldn't have privy information prior to that.
So there's been no timeline given whatsoever when you will be getting information regarding the situation?
No,
You're just,
we're waiting on outside agencies.
I would hope it's quick, soon.
I would like to hope so, it's been long enough.
So, yeah.
It's been long
Outside
enough.
agencies, and you're working off of their time schedule.
I get that, it's just the consequences he's paying seem
Our
extreme.
kids are.
Plus,
Our
plus the
kids
kids,
are
I
paying
mean,
an
we're
extreme-
missing the principal,
That's
you know what I
right.
mean? We don't have any answers of when,
Yeah.
who's in charge?
Right, that's what I was gonna say, who is in charge?
Right now, it's the folks that are doing the investigation, and unfortunately.
No, who's in charge in this building?
Oh, in
When
the
Terry
building?
Thompson's not in this building, who is in charge in this
It'd
building?
be the assistant principal, fall back on the assistant.
Okay.
And we wanna keep it real respectful, okay? I mean, I think, I have people reaching out to me, who can I call, who can I write to, students saying, who can I send letters about I'm like, I don't know, we're not being told anything and I don't know how to help. And I guess that's what,
We just need
I'm
them back,
looking
we need them
for.
here working,
yeah. So I just.
And we understand that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, you know, like I say, once we get the information, then we can
Yeah.
evaluate it and make some decisions.
Is the paid administrative leave deal, is that just like a normal state thing? If anything's ever reported to
That's standard
CPS
operating
and stuff?
procedure.
Okay,
That's correct.
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
After you guys have that, I think you said executive session, and then that night, is there a decision made and he comes back to work that next day if you guys agree to that decision?
Potentially.
So it would be the next day?
No, they won't make a decision in executive session, they can't, they have to vote in open session. So it probably wouldn't be the next day, it would be at least 48 hours after that.
So they just go over the facts and everything and
Exactly.
then go home
Yes,
and then
yes.
come back and do
Come back.
another meeting?
Yeah, you can't do that.
And all 5 of them could get to read the report. I mean,
Oh.
besides you get it, that they'll
Every-
all get to read every bit of it.
Yes, and he has an opportunity to present his side too. It's a regular due process, think of it
Okay.
best, like the appeals on wheels today, think of it as court. Each side has their opportunity.
It's just, I think, maybe I'm speaking a little out of turn, but what I hate about it, and I'm sure it's just part of the process, by having this time, it's just allowing so many rumors to be flooded in from both sides, you know, and
Yeah.
you're hearing stories that you hope are never true. Again, not even about it, things prior to this case that now are coming out, and now I'm just like, no way. I mean, it's just crazy, and I just feel like it's getting so dirty. And that's why I just would really just like to hope that we could maybe get some positive reinforcement, hey, this is how we can turn this positively and help this man, versus everybody just starting to feel, and that's why I'm just trying to fill that void with some information, but
Yeah,
there's
I
none
mean,
to
a lot of
give.
people are thinking, well, shoot, I hope he did something really bad, you know, to not be at work, cause we need him at this school. It's a huge reason why it looks the way it is, why it runs the way it does, like, and he's not here.
We appreciate you taking some time
Yeah,
afterwards to
absolutely.
talk about it too, thank you
The
for
other
that.
thing to remember is, we're only board members in Gallup Falls. We are you people when we walk out of here. We are no different.
Then you would agree with what he's did around here, you know what I mean, like,
What
so.
I'm saying is, we don't have any power at this point. We're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
normal people.
We just want him back to work.
I think all of us, I've been on committees with Terry before, and I love him to pieces and stuff, but I have to make sure that my decision is based on facts and not emotion, in the interest of it all. And Dr. Hannah has said repeatedly and stuff, we know nothing, and I swear to you, we know
Sure.
nothing. I do think that I've been on the board for 2 or 3 years now, and I think that I've known these people, And I think that you can trust that they will do what is in the best interest of your children. They will also take into consideration for Mr. Thompson as well. But there are standards that we have to follow based on what CPS and, you know, the Indiana State Police, what they have found in their investigation. That's the fact that we have to do, not based on how much we love him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, I just feel like, again, I mean, it must be something really bad to call CPS or whoever got called, whatever happened.
And I don't even necessarily
We don't know the
think that,
details,
yeah,
right.
it's just that, again, no one knows the details, so how can we, any of us, really sit here and have an opinion about today? But what we do have an opinion about is all the years leading up to this moment right here. And I think that's more of where, how do we show support? Because we might all hear about this situation and not agree or uphold him in this situation. No one knows, but what I still know is how I uphold him for the last 5 years of how I felt with my kids in this school. So that's what I stand
Yes.
by, you know, so I guess that's, and again, I'm not expecting any comment, but that's where, like, how can we support him up to that
I
point?
think you're showing that by being here. You are showing him that you do support him and you can continue to do that. I don't think any of us are opposed
Mhm.
to you coming and voicing your opinions and things like that, as long as you understand that our hands are tied and there's not a
Sure.
lot that we can feed back to you until we know more.
Sure.
I mean, I think that Joe has been very upfront and just, you know, Dr. Hannah, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. I've had people, my daughter-in-law works in the school and I'm like, I don't know what you're hearing, but I'm telling you, I know nothing. I'm just telling you what the rumor mill is saying. I'm telling you, I know nothing.
Mhm.
You can tell the people that are telling you the stories, I know nothing.
We believe you know nothing,
Yeah.
but I'm regardless, like, we just need him back to work. Whether you know, I don't care who knows. What we know is he needs to be working. He needs to be here every day. Without him, there's a big void here.
Our kids deserve him
Our
to be in
kids
the
do,
building.
yeah,
Our kids
he
want
needs
him.
to be here,
Yeah, the kids want
period.
him here.
So to go through all, now we're going through all these channels and,
More times going
right,
by.
more time's going by. So who's responsible if something happens tomorrow?
Well, the building continues to run every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's running fine.
Yeah.
And whether I die tomorrow, the school will still operate, whether, sorry to say, but anybody else dies tomorrow, we'll still run. This is not one person's building. It is
It
a
ran
community.
without Mr. Thompson,
Exactly.
but
And
it's
still-
running extremely well
It's
right
still
now.
going every day, education's still occurring. We not only had us here today, as far as Rossville students, we had Clinton Central and Frankfurt with Appeals on Wheels. Activities are moving forward, just like last night at the Powder Puff Volleyball. Things continues to still occur every day. Kids are still being picked up every morning on the bus, they're dropped off every evening, and we educate them throughout the day. So, the thing is the whole idea behind it, the following the proper procedure is to get the facts. And that's what we want, is we want the facts, and the board deserves to have the facts. It's not coming from Rossville schools, it's coming from the outside agencies that's doing the investigation, and then they need to act on that information they receive. They haven't received anything, I haven't received anything, so it's not there.
So was it your call to have the investigation, or whose call was that? They don't even know about it.
When you call it in, that's how it starts. Just like I
Okay.
said earlier, when you call, you notify law enforcement or CPS, they make a determination of what they're going to do.
So-
It becomes their job.
So that was your decision then?
To call them?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a duty to
Okay.
report.
Okay.
Every teacher, every employee in this school has a duty to report. So when I get the information, I report it.
Yep.
I'm duty bound.
Yeah.
If not, I go to jail. And I'm not gonna do that.
And I understand what you said too about, the education continued, just like you referred to Power Puffs had, going on last night. But I mean, don't you even feel a difference what he's done we were here before Mr. Thompson. And there are other principals here to defend themselves, okay? But I'm just saying, I've been here before and I've been here now. And wouldn't you agree it's ran so differently?
I will wait on the facts of the the case.
I'm saying
That's
eliminate the
what it
case,
is.
go prior to the date that that even happened, take the 5 years prior to and eliminate that situation as a whole. I mean, see, that's what it feels like, it just feels like there's no union, there's no support, it's what it's starting more and more to feel like, and that's what's becoming, I don't know what the right word is for it.
Part of the problem is the rumors. I mean,
I'm
people
take
would
the
wait on
incident
the facts
aside.
to come out.
Take the incident out, I'm saying, just the support, so I, maybe you don't feel supportive of them, I don't know, that's not for me to say, I'm just saying, you're right, the school keeps going, but it's definitely went differently since he's
Well,
been here.
do you support him?
We've continued to renew his contract, that's
Yes.
a pretty good
Okay,
indication.
great.
Thank you.
One
Yeah,
thing to keep
thank
in
you.
mind, is we hired him.
Yeah, I love that.
We sat right here in front of us and we interviewed several people. We hired that man.
Yeah, that's
We
great.
hired the prior one.
I love it.
And I think the other thing you have to think about, and thinking about the chain of command, he's not in the building right now, and there's an assistant principal that's there. He hired that assistant principal, so he put that person in place to be there. And so when we think about that, that's why the school has that chain of command that comes down, that there is a principal and an assistant principal, so in the event the principal's out, the assistant principal steps in. And that works in the elementary, in the high school, middle school. It would work the same way if it was reversed. If the assistant principal was out, the principal takes over that duty. And so everything's happening the way it should happen.
Sure.
And he supported putting her in place. And so he has the confidence in the assistant principal to do that.
Yeah, if not, all that is excellent, the way, yeah, I love that, the way it should be, I just feel like we just wanna be there for
We
him.
understand your frustration, and that's one of the reasons I want to.
Yeah.
And we
Thank you,
support
thank you.
Mrs. Buck too, you know, I don't want that to be,
100%,
but we
yeah.
can all agree there's also a difference in president versus vice president, you know, there's just, and so I don't want it to be misconstrued that we don't support Mrs. Buck as well, please.
I appreciate you guys all coming and showing
Thank you.
support.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.